the reason I connected with Mike and we're bringing in this conversation today is talk about the power of MindSense, which is really the drive behind your book.
It is.
And connecting people with changing their self-beliefs to really achieve their personal best. I hope that we can inspire you to take pen and paper out after this and start thinking, how can I match up my self-belief with my goals and make sure that they're fully aligned? The first thing is really to let Mike explain about the MindSense model. So
I found myself running major organisations at a very young age, and it dawned on me quite early on that I wasn't particularly mentally strong. I had a lot of drive and determination and enthusiasm to succeed, but I really wasn't in control of my mind. What I spend a lot of time with people today doing is teaching them how to think again, because so many people have stopped thinking, or at least stopped being in control of their thoughts, and now their mind is in control of them. So they have a thought and they just go with the thought without ever stopping to say, hang on, was that a really useful thought? Maybe I should be thinking something else. And so for myself, I worked out that I really needed to be able to understand my mind better so that I could get more from it and be more in control of it, and kind of work out why it keeps getting in the way. Because you've probably got lots of listeners who have got really great goals around their health and vitality and fitness, and they set themselves a path that they're going to go on, they're going to start exercise every week and fix their diet and get rid of all the junk food, and before they know it, they've talked themselves out of it. And there's sort of voice in their heads go, you know what? It's going to be too hard this week. Remember, we've got a party on Friday night and this is going to be happening, and it's not that the challenge for us is not externally, it's all internally.
that's right.
We know what we want to do, but we just can't get ourselves to do it because we're not in control of our thoughts.
Yeah. And that's really summarises the whole point of this discussion. How can we help you regain control of your thoughts and that connection between mind and body? So just to recap as well, the mind-body connection, you know how we are some of our thoughts. So if we tell ourselves that we're fit and healthy, and we were talking about this last night, even if you're not training for hours every day, you have a fit and healthy lifestyle because you believe that's who you are. So you'll do things that actually fulfill that lifestyle. Yeah,
so the way our lives are unfolding for us right now is the direct consequence of all the things we do and all the thoughts that we have. And we all develop these patterns around behaviour and thoughts. It might be that when you get out of bed in the morning, you go straight to the bathroom, you go straight to the kitchen. There's a certain way in which you get to your office or your place of work each day. And maybe Thursday nights is going to have drinks with your friends. So we develop patterns around our behaviour and patterns around our thoughts. And all those things lead to this place called our life as it is today. Now, what influences how we behave and how we think are the emotional states we spend our times in. And if you're in a really positive state, like you're feeling strong and determined and capable and successful, then there's more behaviours you can access, and you'll access them more often, and you'll also think more clearly. But if you're on the other hand feeling anxious or stressed or frustrated or angry or disappointed, those emotional states tend to shut down behaviours. So if you wake up in the morning and you're feeling really stressed about something, the chances are you're not going to do all the things that you need to do, or you're not going to behave appropriately. When you're really angry and having an argument with somebody, you often perhaps reflect afterwards and go, that wasn't my finest hour. So our emotional states become really important in this. And one of the things that I learned in my time around World Champions was that they're very good at stopping to think about what emotional state they need to be in before they engage. So if it's walking out to play a final Wimbledon, if you want to walk through onto centre court feeling like you're determined and you're focused and you're strong and you're capable and you're tenacious and you're resilient, because that will help you to perform at your best.
So would you class that as a sense of mindfulness?
Yeah.
So really having that moment to stop, because most people are rushing through life and they're putting all these external things out, but they're not actually spending any time calibrating and seeing how that feels. So maybe it's a 1 or 2 second pause before you react on something. You can start with the smallest thing, whether it's before you get out of bed in the morning, think about how you're going to start your day and how you feel, and choose one thing to be grateful for, or start your day off on a good note.
I've learned over the last 15 to 20 years to spend my time, what I think about is what's the most appropriate version of me right now. So it might be walking in the door at home and going, okay, calm, curious and loving. Or if I'm about to go and work with a corporate client, it might be curious, focused, purposeful. And so if the best version of you keeps turning up in every moment of your life, you'll get great results. And that best version of you is really, this is the challenge for us. What we've got to explore is what it is that we believe about ourselves and how we've come to see ourselves. We might call that our comfort zone, because that's the core of it for you. All of us behave completely in accordance with what we believe about ourselves and who we think we are. And notice I said it's who we think we are, because what we often say is, well, it's just my personality. And we use that term often with resignation, or people say, oh, it's just human nature. Well,
excusing yourself.
Yeah, human nature to me in that context seems to me to be the lowest common denominator. Human nature is like, well, that's what everybody else does, so I should do it. Well, extraordinary isn't what everybody else does. It's what a select few do because they want something more. And so we are only who we think we are. This whole notion of personality, really interesting. If you were a coroner and you were conducting an autopsy and somebody said, can you go and find their personality? You'll never find it.
Yeah, exactly.
Because our personality only exists in thought. So we're only who we think we are. So the question is, well, so who do you think you are? And how did you come to form that view? And most of that was determined at an early age and really as a consequence of somebody else's opinion.
Exactly.
If you're 5 or 6 and somebody says to you, hey, Nikki, geez, you're really good at maths, you go, really? And you start to believe in yourself and being good at maths. So you probably do lots of maths, and it's probably no wonder you turn out a rocket scientist if that's what happens. So positive reinforcement and encouragement helps us to believe positive things about ourselves. But on the flip side, if somebody says to you, well, Nikki, you didn't do that very well, I can't believe you screwed that up, or we get criticism or expressions of disappointment, we don't believe in ourselves, and our view of ourselves is we're somehow not capable, we can't do it. And so the view that we form of ourselves really is developed at the hands of others. We don't live our true lives, we live our lives in accordance with what other people said about us.
Yeah.
And if you've got people around you in your early days who perhaps are overly critical, then your view of yourself is not a particularly strong one. So you may know that you need to go out and exercise to drop 20 kilos and to eat better, but if your view is, well, I'm not very strong, I'm not really capable, I can't do that.
What's the point? Yeah.
What's the point? Then you won't.
Yeah.
And so what we've really got to do is work on ourselves and our view of ourselves first.
So just the pure talk around building your sense of self-belief and stepping outside and actually making that list of what social impositions you created
Yes.
from youth.
Yeah.
And then actually, I spoke about this with Shannon Kennedy in the last podcast, how do you determine what your true values are? So I think, in this podcast today, maybe we could focus on helping people find what their definition is of
Yeah.
themselves. So what would be an easy way to say, okay, I know I need to lose weight, I know I need to live healthy, I know I need to have this with conviction so I can ask my friends and my family to support me on that. But unless they have the self-belief to do it, that's not going to work. So what tools can we give them to do that?
If you think about the sentence that begins with I am, think about all the different ways that you could finish that. And literally as adults, there's probably a couple of hundred. Some positive, some perhaps limiting or negative. And it's the realization that all of those have come about because of somebody else's projection on us or opinion. So recognize them. It's a great exercise to write them down, find 10 positive, find 10 negative, and see what they really are. They're an illusion. They're not actually the truth, they were just somebody else's opinion. What's interesting, if you go back to a 2-year-old, if they understood this concept and you said, okay, here's the sentence, begins with I am, could you finish it for me? I mean, a 2-year-old might say, well, I'm hungry, or I am Nikki, or I'm Mike. That's probably it. They'd in essence be saying to you, look, the sentence is finished.
Yeah.
I am.
But instead that gets built on.
Yeah. Now, here's the thing about 2-year-olds to just contemplate for a moment. 2-year-olds live their lives pretty much without fear. They don't give a toss about what anybody else thinks of them. They see the world as this great, big, exciting opportunity. Imagine if that's how you saw life today as an adult. How exciting that would be. Now, we were all 2 once, so that's how we did see life. And what got in the way is this view of ourselves, particularly the limitations. I'm not very good at that. I can't do that. I haven't got any willpower. So it's getting rid of that, moving it to one side. Yeah. All of us arrived on this planet in the same space, basically. None of us have ever looked at a brand new child and held it in our arms for the first time and said to ourselves or others, oh, it's such a shame. We look at this one, well, I hope you haven't. We look at this wonderful innocence, this naivety, this unbelievable potential. There's nothing missing, and that's how we all arrived. The problem is that as we go through life, we start to form this view that somehow we're flawed. There's things missing from us. And the term I like to use is that we somehow see that we're not enough. And that gets kind of stuck in the back of our mind. And so we go through our lives not being enough, and our subconscious mind, this conversation of the day, takes over and keeps reinforcing it. So we keep telling ourselves, or our subconscious mind keeps telling us, oh, I can't do that, I'm not enough, I'm not capable, I'd love to lose 10 kilos, but it's too hard. I haven't got as much willpower, as discipline as Nikki, so I don't even know why I should bother.
So, yeah, and I think that's right. And I think, you're listening, and I know that you're hearing this, guys, because we speak about this a lot. And the one thing that I learned from Mike when I was listening to him present the other day is that there are 2 or 3 really easy steps you can do when you start to hear those voices. Because everyone that's listening to this now, they understand and they're nodding their heads and they're saying, yes, that's true, it's all up to me and my own perception. But the downfall is they don't do the work to actually change the hard drive. And that's the thing, I think, the power within and the power of MindSense, that model, is actually starting to rewire things. Because we all understand that our perception of ourselves is formed by others. And 99% of the listeners here, they know that they can achieve their dreams, and they know that their biggest block. The biggest thing that they come up to blows with is the too complicated approach to try and change that. And that's why this mindset model is great. So